Okay. All right. So, welcome to Where We Buy. My name is James Cook. I research retail and real estate for JLL. And today I am getting hungry because we're talking about Smalls sliders. And my guest today is Nate Minnis. Nate, you're director of real estate for Smalls. Is that right?
I am, and thank you for having me.
Where are you joining me from?
We are based in Atlanta, Georgia.
I want to hear a little bit about your background, kind of what led you to Smalls.
I was just a small town boy in a town of 2000 working at Subway at the age of 16 and went to college because that's what my parents told me I had to do. And I didn't really do well with it. And so I came back. They said, you don't get to live here. And the franchisee, which I had no idea of franchising and companies and such in high school, they told you can be a plumber or a cop or go, get a government job. And so a buddy of mine said, hey, I'm moving to Chicago and I need a roommate. I can't afford rent while I go to UIC. And I said, well, I'm in. So at the age of 18, I jumped in a car, and that franchisee actually set me up with a area developer for Subway. And the opportunity was actually in operations opening up Subways in Cook County, which is Chicagoland area. And I had the opportunity to open up 150 of those. And my next door neighbor, her son in my small town, was the area developer for Cold Stone Creamery. That then led me to opening up 60 Cold Stone Creameries in the state of Illinois in operations. The Cold Stone franchisee that I had, his wife worked with Chris Newman, and he got started as the director of real estate at Jimmy John's. So a lot of people, even today, I still get phone calls for, hey, you still doing Jimmy John's deals? And they liked someone that had zero real estate experience, and they loved the fact that I had operations experience. It was two different perspectives, and they could teach me what they wanted to teach me. I was there for a little over 5 years, and I got the opportunity to do deals with Drew Brees with his first 3 Jimmy John's deals down there. Fast forward a little bit, Richard Lavelle, who is the VP of franchise sales here at Small Sliders, he and I had known each other for years because he was the chief development officer at Smoothie King. And we always tried to figure out, if there's 2,000, 3,000 square feet, how do I take and split that and put a Jimmy John's and a Smoothie King? And then as those years progressed, we caught back up, and I saw this opportunity. And I saw the history and the brand. And of course, Drew Brees is a part of Small Sliders also. And so that was even more intriguing to me to understand that if he's getting involved with it, it definitely has a lot of opportunity. And so I called Richard up and I said, I'd love the opportunity to talk with you. And I had recently moved down to Atlanta from Chicago, and we're Atlanta based, and we are required to be in the office, and I've thoroughly enjoyed it because it is my first job that is in office. I've always been in office at a Starbucks or a Panera or something else. So it's been exciting, and kind of putting in perspective of where we are today, we have over 25 employees and we have 22 open locations. When I started at Jimmy John's, I was number 22 employee, and they had 200 locations. Our CEO, Maria, she has a long-term plan, and we expect very much great potential here with Small Sliders throughout the U.S. and globally.
So for folks that aren't familiar, and I'm based in Indiana, so you don't have to explain to me who Drew Brees is. But for those folks that aren't familiar, football star, New Orleans Saints, but also a commercial retail real estate guy. And I've seen him speak, and he talks the talk. Like, he knows it. So was Jimmy John's like the first thing that he got into franchise wise?
It's my understanding that's the case. Yes, that's what I remember it to be. And he had it at Purdue and really fell in love with it. And he was down in New Orleans as the quarterback when he invested into his locations down there.
Let's talk about Smalls. So what is kind of the unique concept, unique origin story? Kind of how did Smalls get started, and like, how do you describe it to people?
Yeah, there's 2 ways of describing it. And I think we're going to get into the real estate portion here. The history of Smalls is really unique in the sense that Brandon Landry started it and he is the founder of Walk-Ons, also down in LSU, and he has always liked sliders. He has a founder story that you can see on our website, and it is a takeoff of the Sandlot about "You're Killing Me, Smalls," and he has sliders on his menu at Walk-Ons. And he and Drew Brees were on a plane one day, and Drew asked, "What are you working on?" And he had some renderings and elevations and things. He's like, "I think I can do this." And Drew's like, "I want it. I want to invest." And so in 2019, Small Sliders was formed and open. As COVID hit, the drive-through and the patio aspect of these of Smalls really had taken off with opportunity there. So that's really the story behind it. And then as the investor portion, 10 Point Capital has come in as a great partner with Brandon and other investors to make Walk-Ons a great sports bar, along with Smalls being a great slider concept that's disrupting the cheeseburger industry.
So you've got investors who are looking to grow this concept, and I would say my research, I would call it simplicity, right? Talk about the menu and the design.
Yeah, the menu portion of it is very simple, and it's sliders, fries, steaks, and queso. And the queso is amazing. The sliders, I can eat two of them with fries. I can do A lot of people go into the concept that I can eat four of these, and all of a sudden they realize, their stomach doesn't catch up with their brain, right? And so it's a lot of fun to see. It is a very simple menu in that sense, and the design of Smalls is unique. And what's really important is terminology. It's Yes, we say it's a sea container sitting on top, but we really want to make sure that we're focused on saying it's a 800 square foot modular building, and modular buildings get built in three different vendors throughout the United States right now, and we're going to add on to that. And that modular building gets shipped to the location, and it's really unique in this sense. I love this part is we have screening, and we have other parts, hood vents, and parts that need to come with it. Well, we use that sea container one more time and put all of that stuff in that sea container. So you have a truck with a modular building, you have a truck with the sea container. Go on our LinkedIn, and you can see the modular building get dropped, and the sea container then gets emptied out and put back on top of the modular building. They finish up with the hood vents, the screening, and 6 hours later, you have a building, and people that went by it in the morning to work come back from a piece of land to, "Oh my goodness, there's a building on that piece of land right now. How did that happen?"
How much time does this modular thing, how much time does it save, do you think, in the construction process?
It saves a lot in the construction process, but also permitting time. So with a lot of states, there's about 22 states that are modular states. And in those modular states, that means that the state has already stamped the building. And some municipalities will want to change or make comments about the modular building itself, even if it is permitted by the state. But typically, once we get through civil, we've actually gotten our building permits before we've gotten civil done, just because the state has already stamped it, and the city said, "Great." And so that can shave off between 4 weeks to 20 weeks. It's been really helpful in that sense. In the sense of the construction side of it, we're still averaging about between 75 and 100 days, which I know in other concepts, it's about 120 to other QSR per se, can be up to 180 to 200 days.
Gotcha.
So definitely a time savings overall. In addition to that, a lot of people don't realize that the modular building is a piece of equipment. So you're depreciating it over 7 years and not 30 plus years.
And we're talking about 800 square feet, so it really is just a kitchen, freezer.
The walk-in cooler and freezer actually are on the outside in the back of the modular building. And just to give you a little description, it's the walk-ins. And then you walk in, we have our sink area and mop sink and such. And part of that is we have two restrooms that are accessible for employees and customers. And then you walk down, we have a manager's office that we're moving a little bit. And then just around is the grills, the fryers, the soda fountains, the drive through and such. So yeah, it's you can't fit a lot of people in there, and it does get crammed rather quickly. But you don't need to have a lot of people in there either.
And you've got one drive through lane or two?
We would prefer a multi-lane order point if we can, and there are different designs that we have, and that's the uniqueness that we can get with the creativity of our drive-throughs versus the parcel sizes versus we can angle it, we can keep it straight, we can center it, we can put the seat container on top. If you look at our Metairie location, we actually have three cans sitting on top of that. That way, when we're on the hard corner, all three sides are being able to be seen and maximize our visibility with our signage.
And these cans, as you guys call them, they're all signature orange coloring.
S'morange.
So that's Smalls orange. Got it. S'morange.
That's right.
Which is that like a patented color?
I don't think we're technically patented, but I would have to get back to you. I do know that we do. Oh my goodness, what is it called? It is Pantone color.
Oh yeah.
We have got it through Pantone color.
Right. So you've got a signature official Pantone code or whatever for the color. So
That's
tell
right.
me, so let's talk a little bit more about real estate. How big does the pad of land have to be for this to work?
That's the other uniqueness, and similar to Dutch and Southern Brew and such. If we're doing a carve out in front of a grocery store or an anchor, and we can have cross parking access, then our smallest is 0.26 acres. Now, if we're on a standalone parcel that we want to get parking, I kind of live on this 15 parking spaces, 15 car stack. That way we can have employees and customers for the walk up in the patio area. That portion of it would be more about zero point 0.5 to zero point 0.7. The other thing that I'm focusing on with franchisees, depending on the economics in certain situations, are we want to build for the business we want, not for the business that we think we can withstand, right? And so some of our recent parcels have been more of that zero point 0.7 to zero point 0.9 because we want to be able to maximize that drive through multiple order points. In addition to that, provide for more parking so we can pick up patio visitors and such. But the other difference that I would say is we focus on the trade area and where our customers wanting to stop, or is this a high daytime population where people just want to get their food and go? And so we do analyze that. In addition to that, we have the creativity and opportunity to remove the patio if we want to, and we can make it just a single a drive through only and remove any walk up and such. So we have a lot of great opportunities to be creative and to really maximize market penetrations to make sure everyone's getting a slider every day.
I haven't been yet, but I've watched some videos and the sliders look awesome. Like right up my alley. So I'm really
we have sold Indianapolis, and I was working on it yesterday. So
all right. Well,
you may have one before the end of the year.
let's talk a little bit more about growth. I saw a map, and I don't know how recent it is, but it looked like you had the Southeast pretty much sold out. Is that for franchisees or at least partly? I mean, where are you at with that?
Yeah, so we have sold out on 8 states, and we are heavily driven in a lot of the states, not just Southeast. So we've actually opened up 30 states at this time, and a lot of the metropolitans are really focused on. So we range from multiple deals in Florida going in right now. All metropolitans in Texas are looking for sites and opening up sites. In addition to that, we go as far west to Phoenix and Vegas at this point. So where we haven't touched in sense of selling or opening up more states is Pacific West and then Northeast at this time. So really Southern Virginia, all the way over to Phoenix, up to Iowa. And I think in the next 6 to 10 months, we'll probably open up the Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Michigan markets. But right now we are heavily focused in the Midwest and everything else outside of the Pacific and the Northeast.
Gotcha. So, what do you think makes for an ideal location? I know you can be creative, but for you, what's the perfect location?
Yeah, the beautiful thing is we have 22 open today. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. We don't have to take on risk. We're able to look at intersections and trade areas where retailers, where daytime population exists around it, where we have a balance of residential and we have a balance of traffic or interstate that's going to be a great stop for us. And so, people are parasitic by nature, and we are looking at where are the other QSRs doing well. And we are focusing on those. The one thing that I would say is we we need to continue to focus on frequency of customers. And we do have a loyalty program now, and that's been very exciting to watch to see how many customers are coming each week. But when you have a limited menu, we do need to make sure that we're in local and regional trade areas today, because if we don't have a repeat customer of that frequency, then we need new eyes and new customers coming to us. And so, looking at the Raising Cane's and the Chick-fil-A's and the Chipotle's of the world, again, we don't have to reinvent the wheel, and we don't have to go into it just a neighborhood, right? And we really want to make sure that we're staying focused to, if every other QSR is doing well, we know that we'll do well too. And so, it's been exciting because with as watching this go from 7 locations to 22, and just so you know, we have 47 deals right now that have executed leases and above that are working on permitting and construction. We have 33 that are about to get executed, and we have 26 that are in the process of either finding a location or working on through an LOI. And so, those are going to be in areas that are really driven to what is that tier one, what is going to give me the most traffic for 12 hours a day. And even some of our locations, they're wanting to open up later because they're seeing that late night hunger. And we can, because what I love about smalls, 2 things is it's a consistent traffic driver. You can use it, you can eat it as a meal, you can have it as a snack. Kids can eat it, and it's a meal or a snack for them, right? And so we have it, you get all parts of the day, just consistent traffic. Even at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you get kids coming over. And so, if you're putting yourself in a position that people are behaving and traveling to that intersection with the anchors, with the retailers, with the other QSRs, it's a mindset at that point. And the beautiful thing too is if you eat beef, you're our customer.
Yeah, and it's funny because I think some QSRs are really into trying to offer a million different things and always coming up with, oh, hey, we have this new thing on our menu. But I think the simplicity of Smalls is like you just do one thing really well and don't worry about trying to go crazy.
That's right. And, about a year ago, a little over a year ago, our marketing team came and did a reimagine. So you can see the differences of our old logo to our new logo, and you can see how much hype is being driven. And a lot of people think that we're actually a national tenant already. And it's like, whoa, we only have 22, but our marketing department does such a good job of getting out there with LinkedIn, with Instagram.
So, Nate, what is your personal day-to-day look like? Are you working with all these different franchisees, or like what is your focus on?
We've been able to bring on more resources. So we did bring on a design and construction director, which took a lot off my plate. And we do have a construction services person. And then we recently hired Reg Williams, who came on as a real estate manager. And so the day-to-day has been a lot different than it was a year ago. And so I'm very excited. I'm not gaining hair back from it, but I wish it worked that way. So for my day-to-day right now, we're an oversight model in franchising. However, because of the uniqueness, and it's very simple to do, it's kind of interesting because it's simple to do in the sense of real estate design construction. It's simple to make in a simple menu, but it's actually overall really challenging overall if you've never done it before. And so we have to work really hand in hand with our franchisees. We need to make sure that we're setting them up for success. So the day to day is one is reviewing locations, two is working through LOIs and leases or purchases with them, and three is making sure that we have a pre-app meeting with the city to make sure that we know that we can comply with any uniqueness of corrugated metal or the sea container or helping educate the modular building. And so I spend a lot of my time educating people on smalls and the modular building versus a sea container just being plopped on the ground.
Would you say that the successful Smalls franchisee has done other franchising in the past with other concepts?
Majority of our franchisees recently and in the future are most likely mumbos, right? Multi-unit, multi-brand operators. And so, yeah, we have a lot of other franchisees with other concepts that are QSR, and even then, it's still like, yeah, I've built out this concept, but it's still a lot different with the modular building, and it's still different to find a parcel size that's, they're not always understanding, like, yes, it's a trapezoid, we can make that work. You can't make that work with this 2,000 square foot QSR over here.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, we do have well financed. We are $1.5 million liquidity with $2.5 million net worth for franchisees. So it's been a lot easier in the sense of bringing on qualified franchisees into the conversation that helps my life a lot easier, or makes my life a lot easier.
And you mentioned marketing and how good you guys are at it. I imagine there's a lot of people that are beating down your doors to be a franchisee, right?
We are constantly getting leads. I think we ended up last month at 365 leads. I would need to audit that and confirm that, but I do know that the leads, there's not a shortage of the leads at this point in our conversation. And we've sold over 350 that are in development or open. And I think with MUFC and ICSC coming up here shortly also, it was really exciting to be a part of the first booth and placement at ICSC last year. And we just get so many more opportunities after MUFC, Multi-Unit Franchise Conference, and ICSC. It really blossoms the rest of the year for us.
So what are your biggest challenges, do you think, either for your role or for Smalls in general? Like what are the headwinds? Is it just tough to find real estate, or what do you think?
Yeah, everyone's our competition, right? The coffee shops and the other modular concepts that are growing out there, those are really my competition in the sense of real estate. Every restaurant's a competition in their own sense, right? And so I don't really focus on that because I've seen a lot of success with sandwiches going next to sandwiches, and they still both do really well. Every day, the challenge that I wake up to is, who do I need to educate to make sure that they're aware of who Smalls is, and to make sure that they understand that this modular building with the sea container that sits on top is not going to be damaging to your city, and that a lot of people are very excited about us coming into town.
Just education, understanding what it is. And I imagine a lot of people think, because there was a lot of shipping container stuff going on a number of years ago. And so I think people probably have some misperceptions about what it is, and like maybe even some safety concerns. I don't know. What kind of questions do you get?
We typically get, you're right, where a lot of the cities, when I talk to them, even in what cities consider prestige and would never allow a sea container, when you go look at their code, it's really actually, to be compliant, they have this idea that we're just going to go drop a sea container down and use it as storage, and it's going to be an eyesore sitting along the road. And that's what they're trying to withhold from. And that makes total sense. I agree with it. I would raise my hand to do the same thing. And then in the coastal states and other places, we've actually had to So the structural sound of it, and it can hold up to over 320 miles per hour in hurricane winds, which is an interesting fact I never thought I would know. And interestingly enough, it's kind of goofy. Typically material is the number one. However, in some municipalities, it's the orange, and then the midnight bronze, which is the actual modular building. The color scheme at times can be something that we have to overcome. The big thing for us is, what is the language, what is the code, and let us work a way to comply. When people don't understand something, they typically just go and say no to it instead of understanding. So that's where the education, and that's what they want to know. And on the material side of things, it's, a lot of code is brick, fiber cementitious board, stone, and no corrugated metal. And we do have ways to comply to get around and to make sure that it meets code. It's our brand. And when I share that with the cities, it's kind of like you bring up the McDonald's with the golden arches back in the day, and guess who has golden arches still today? And it's because they could say you are inhibiting our brand, and we're not going to go down any lawsuits or anything like that, but we do want to make sure that cities and city officials and municipalities really know that it's our branding, and that's why it means so much to us.
You told me a little bit about your origin and how you started out at Subway. What did you learn from your early days that has stuck with you to today?
The reason why I am where I am today without a college degree is because I think a lot of people see my passion, work ethic, and trust. And I've never strayed away from those three things. And what was very interesting for me to learn is that passion can be misunderstood. And it was, there's a difference between confidence and cocky, and right. And I think also people see passion at times to be cocky than it is confidence. And so those are the three things that I've only had one job that I really have not known someone or was not recommended for that has continued to drive me through the career. So I think keeping those three things in addition to that is, I've only been in franchising. So it's 20 plus years in franchising, 17 plus years in real estate franchising. And the fact, and I think this is where my confidence or my passion really comes in is I love being able to go down the street and my wife will be like, I opened that Subway, or I did that Jimmy John's deal, or I did that. And, to me, it makes me feel great to understand and know that is a long-term success. And while I didn't personally touch multiple hands in the journey, that franchisee did all the work and such, I was at least able to provide guidance and make a deal in leases that franchisees were set up for success to be able to sell their business or be there for a very long term. And so I take great pride in what I do, and I'll never change that, because I'm one of those that believes if you do well for others, good will be done for you. And it's been proven out, and I continue to try to prove it out to everyone else.
I love it. So Nate, there's a lot of retail REITs that own a lot of shopping centers across the country. Have you had a lot of interaction with the national landlords yet?
So we haven't had a lot of opportunities with national landlords due to the fact that a lot of the carve-outs have occurred in the last 10, 15 years. And there are three things that I'm always wanting to do is portfolio reviews with them, because you never know about the three things that are going to create opportunities for you. And that's new development out there. There's time with leases being expiring or terminating. And then the last one is, did the business close for whatever purpose? And so we haven't had that much opportunity with them, but I'd like to get more involved with them. A lot of our parcels have been standalones or carve outs to something with another tenant.
Yeah. So there's opportunity. It's just tough because they just don't have much vacancy,
Yeah, it's tight out there everywhere. And then we also have to think about the economics of everything. And while our site is smaller, we still have the same conditions as a acre and a half QSR with stormwater, underground detention, potentially. You still have concrete, asphalt work, and everything else. So it's still a costly carve out at the end of the day too. And so just bringing everyone into kind of switching gears on you is the economics out there. Everyone's proud of their property, and a lot of people are really looking forward to that mailbox money at this stage. And I think it's withholding some growth out there, but at the same time, in the next 3 to 4 years, we may be able to see more opportunities for tenants like us that are going to continue to grow and have success throughout the United States, just due to the fact that some of these concepts are getting too many of what I've heard from brokers and owners, that there's too many coffee users now. And so there's a lot of concern with that, where, luckily we can get in there and get creative and take over that space from them. Luckily, we haven't seen a lot of slider concepts out there and doing the same thing that we're doing. So we're trying to get first to the market and make sure that everyone knows our branding and knows how great the product is.
Awesome. Nate, thank you so much for joining me today. This has been fascinating, and I'm looking forward to trying a Smalls slider out. I was just looking at the menu. I love it. You have the Biggie Smalls. Is that an upgraded slider?
Yeah, so that's what Drew gets. He doesn't get cheese on it, but it's another patty, and we do have bacon, so you can always put bacon on there also.
Man, this is my favorite. I love bacon cheeseburger. I love waffle fries. I love a shake. I'm excited. So, Nate, it's been great. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh, thank you. And I'm looking forward to the next probably year, because you have so many of these that I saw online after you reached out to me. That I was like, every morning I'm just going to listen to one of these on my way into work. So I'm very appreciative of your time, and also being able to give us some time and attention.
If you like this podcast, do me a favor, go into the app that you're listening to and give us a rating. Or even better, give us a little review, right? Just a sentence about what you like about the show. You can subscribe to Where We Buy on the iPhone podcast app, on Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Or you can always find us on the web at wherewebuy.show. We also post a ton of cool videos and interviews on LinkedIn and YouTube, video tours, interviews with folks that you won't hear on this audio podcast. You can check it out by going to the website everythingweknow.show. If you have a specific question about retail, shopping centers, or retail real estate, you can feel free to connect with me and send me a message on LinkedIn. You can find me by searching for James Cook, JLL. Our theme music is Run in the Night by the Good Lords under Creative Commons license.